Okay, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, where we go over the career of Steve Austin. This is going to be part one. We're going to cover his WCW career. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, and let's get through this without
All right.
laughing.
All right. Well, he started off, Steve Williams is his real name.
Yeah,
He goes down to USWA, and there's already a Steve Williams, Dr. Death. So they didn't want him to have that same name and confuse people. So they gave him the name. Well, actually, Dutch Mantel told him think of a name. He couldn't think of a name, and then he named him. Dutch names him Steve Austin, and he was like, "No, that's the $6 million man. I don't want to do that. It's a ripoff." And he said, "Well, you're more like the $6 man, so get out there." And
yeah,
yeah, and then I think Dutch is the one that ended up adding. He was very green at the time, and he tells him I think he adds the stunning to him. He works a little more, and then he ends up in WCW.
and then they also built him out of Los Angeles, California. He's like, "But wait a minute, I'm from Austin." And he's like,
Right.
"Again," or from
Boy from
Victoria,
Texas,
Texas.
Victoria, Texas.
Texas. He's like, "Again, I don't care. Get out there."
Right, and the funny thing is, yeah, from California, and he has that Texas accent.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
So
they just
they
figured
label him
that
out of Hollywood, California, and he's from. It's lovely.
whatever.
It is what it is. But his initial WCW run, it started in 1991. He signed, Stunning Steve Austin signs in WCW with his valet, Vivacious Veronica, which didn't last too long. Um, he was later joined by Jeannie Adams, which was AKA in AWA Lady Blossom,
Mhm.
who was also his wife. And not to jump into the second part of this his bio here, but the lady that came up with Stone Cold.
Mhm.
So we can credit her for all of this. But yes, Jeannie Adams was his valet again. Again, her name Lady Blossom. On June 3rd, 1991, just weeks after his debut, and this is WCW was known for this. Just weeks after his debut, Austin defeats Bobby Eaton for the WCW television title. So you're not even there a matter of a month, you're already champion. So I don't know if it was bad booking or the fact that they saw something in him. Me personally, I liked his WCW run. I thought that he had a hell of a lot of talent. Just too much politics in the back
Yeah.
didn't get him forward. So I'm just going to lay it out there. And it wasn't Ric Flair. So later on that year, at the end of 91, he joined Paul E. Dangerously, a.k.a. Paul Heyman.
Mhm.
He joined this Dangerous Alliance. And I really liked this group. I thought they were legit. Obviously the Four Horsemen weren't around anymore. Ric Flair was gone to WWE. Arn Anderson was in there. They had some great young talent in there, and Paulie Dangerously new talent. So he still does to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's got a knack for it. His business aspect of it, not so much, but the talent wise, he's definitely got it. So he holds the title up until April 27, 1992, where he lost the TV title to Barry Windham in a 2 out of 3 falls match. He regained the title not even a month later on May 23rd, 1992.
And then remember in August '92, he goes over to Japan in one of those tournaments with for the NWA title with New Japan, 16-man tournament he was involved in. He lost in the second round, unfortunately. I think Rick Rude ends up winning the title that night. But it's a cool little thing that he was actually in a world title tournament at some point before he even made it big.
And WCW always had the merger, not the merger, but the working with New Japan.
Yeah.
So and Rick Rude was also a fellow member of the Dangerous Alliance too, so it was a benefit to both of them. So once he regained the television title, he had lost it on September 2nd, 1992, a month after that tournament, to Ricky Steamboat, who was just a phenomenal guy in WCW. I mean, there's a place that really gave that man a shot where WWE did.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody remembers the 1989 hour-long match with Flair. So, I mean, and Austin, they were good.
I think what happened with, not to get sidetracked too much, and maybe we'll cover Steamboat's career at some point, but
oh yeah, we will.
I think he was in bad graces with WWE because of when he won the IC title, he wanted to take some time off, I think, to be with his family, and then they punished him.
She was pregnant at the time.
Yeah, and then ended up punishing him, and
that's where the title loss came to, because you remember he brought out his newborn son at WrestleMania 4, which they were fine with. But yeah, I remember he had requested it, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you just came off the hottest ticket of WrestleMania. We've
Mm-hmm.
got to get you out there defending that belt.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is this?
And I think that was part of it, but
A little bit was, and then he never got his shot. And even when he came back in '91, it was literally a cup of coffee that he was there.
they re-gimmicked him. It looked terrible.
He was called the Dragon, and by this point, it
with
was
the fire and okay. But anyway, this is when Austin could still wrestle, man, because this is before the injury. So him and Steamboat put on a show, man.
Oh yeah,
because that's been when Austin could still really wrestle, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was actually shortly after this loss to Steamboat that the Dangerous Alliance was gone, because you remember Paulie Dangerously lost a loser leaves WCW match, and this is where he took over the role in ECW to take over permanently, being the head booker there and pretty much the owner.
And stealing the wrestlers' money.
Whatever. The only thing I didn't like about Paulie Dangerously is, and I remember watching this as a kid, is he had that match against Medusa. And I'm like, oh, come on. I'm like, you're really just throwing this guy to the fire here. But that was WCW to Paulie. That's why Paulie and Bischoff to this day hate each other. It started there. So during his time in the Dangerous Alliance, he feuded with guys such as Dustin Rhodes, Sting, and Ricky Steamboat, all top caliber guys, especially Dustin Rhodes. I mean, there was another guy, another unutilized talent back then. And it always was, if you were the United States champion, you were literally the number one contender. You know, that only held true to one guy, Lex Luger. Because every other person that held that U.S. title never got squat. Yeah, but Dustin Rhodes, Steve Austin held it forever, never got squat.
Yeah, it was. I mean, in theory, it was their version of the IC title, but a lot of guys, they didn't get the push after winning that belt.
No, only Luger really got it.
Yeah.
I mean, Austin didn't get it. Dustin sure didn't get it. And I don't understand why. Both of those guys were definitely top caliber guys. Yeah. I don't know. So, anyway, it was at Wrestle War in '92 now, where he was involved in the War Games submission match. And that matchup, and then this one was a pretty good one. I really did enjoy watching this one. It was Sting, Ricky Steamboat, Dustin Rhodes, Barry Windham, and Nikita Koloff. Versus Ravishing Rick Rude, Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, and Larry Zbyszko. Now, this was the Dangerous Alliance. Yeah. Now, with the exception of Zbyszko, everybody else was fine.
Yeah.
Because Zbyszko, to me, was always the weak.
Yeah, the living legend.
Yeah, in his mind. Sting's team was victorious that night, obviously. So, going on from there, at Halloween Havoc on October 25th, 1992, Austin replaced Terry Gordy, teaming with Dr. Death Steve Williams, facing Rhodes and Windham for the unified WCW/NWA tag team titles. So now they're trying to put him in the tag team division. They wrestled a 30-minute time limit draw, and that was pretty much it for him at that point. Now, this put a light bulb in Bischoff's eyes, who was kind of running things, but not at the full capacity, where he said, well, wait a minute. Austin looked good in a tag team with this guy. I got another guy I don't have anything to do with, nothing to do with. Why don't I put them together? Now, Austin always said in his documentaries, I never wanted a tag team partner. Kind of like, I refer to it like Chris Tucker from Rush Hour. I don't want a partner. I don't need a partner. I don't ever have a partner. That was pretty much him. He never wanted one. But when he got Brian Pillman, he didn't want him to leave. And when they broke him up later on, he got pissed off because, like, well, wait a minute. Brian and I are a team.
The funny thing is,
this actually clicked to him.
Yeah, the funny thing is, he didn't even know. He was like at the arena, and they were like, I think Pillman goes up to him and asks him, like, oh, what do you think about the finish? And he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, we're working together. And he's like, what? We're a tag team? And then, like, Pillman ended up giving him a lot of ideas, like what to wear, like the vest and stuff like that. And so then they became best friends. And then they ended up becoming a great tag team, very underrated tag team.
Oh, yes, definitely. The Hollywood Blondes. In October 1992, Austin formed a tag team known as the Hollywood Blondes with Brian Pillman. Now, it didn't take them long. Matter of fact, March of the following year in 1993, they won the tag team titles by beating Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas. A thrown together tag
team.
Thrown together. But Douglas was, you remember, Douglas was part of the, not to blow the horn on it, the Dynamic Dudes with John Laurinaitis. Or Johnny Ace, whatever you want to call the bum.
Johnny Ace. No, yeah.
or you can call him Daniel Bryan's father-in-law, whatever, because he is. Shane Douglas was in tag team wrestling in WCW. They wouldn't let him go on his own. It actually wasn't until ECW where he finally was able to prove, look, this is what I can do on my own. So in any event, they held the titles actually for 5 months, and during that time, it was just tremendous, one title defense after the other. They came up with the tremendous gimmicks, especially doing the Hollywood filming. The reel was just great. The theme music was good.
Yeah, they were such trolls, man. Yeah, they were good. Man. They used to get under people's skin.
Yeah, that's all right. Who doesn't? On June 16th, 1993, on Clash of the Champions 23, they faced Ric Flair and Arn Anderson in a 2 out of 3 falls match, and that's the night they were beaten.
Is this the infamous low rating that they blamed?
Yes, they blamed Austin for
that
it.
Was it?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
They wouldn't blame Ric Flair for it, so they blamed Austin.
No.
So, however, they regained the titles. They retained the titles. I'm sorry, that night because one fall had been by disqualification. Now, I don't understand if you're going to plan a 2 out of 3 falls match and the first fall ends in a disqualification, then obviously you know how the night's going to end. It's going to end with, oh yeah, okay, you won, but yet they're still the champions. What's the point? Leave it to WCW to box.
I hate that. Didn't somebody else do that? I feel like somebody else did that.
It was WCW actually
did
that
was
more than once.
Yeah.
WWE,
I think Pillman.
I've never seen one in there.
Was it Austin or Pillman that was upset about that? I forgot who was upset about that. They were like that. It was Austin, right? That he was like, "That's ridiculous. Like, we won, but then you can't win the title based on." Oh no! You know what I'm thinking about? I think it was was it the Rockers that won a 2 out of 3 versus Brainbusters or somebody? And then no. Man, I'm mixing things up. British Bulldogs. Remember British Bulldogs fought I think they fought Demolition on Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yes, that's the one you're thinking of.
And they won. They won by one of the falls was
the third fall was the DQ,
right?
And they didn't get the titles, and they were pissed. But
it shouldn't matter because they won 2 out of 3. They didn't say how.
They didn't say how you win the 2 out of 3. You're just supposed to win 2 out of the 3.
Right, just 2 out of the 3. That shouldn't make a difference.
Just like here, the first fall is by DQ. Well, the rest of the night, Flair and Anderson can get the next fall. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Make a difference.
So. Yeah, when you start putting disqualification in a 2 out of 3 falls match, it kills it right then and there. Because then you're going to know the outcome regardless.
Yeah.
So following this now at Beach Blast, they kept the titles against Arn Anderson and Paul Roma, another thrown together tag team. But it was the Four Horsemen.
Paul Roma, man. Couldn't catch a break.
Seriously, man. At Clash of the Champions 24 in August 93 now, Pillman had a legitimate injury, forcing Austin to replace Pillman with Steven Regal. And against Anderson and Roma, they lost the titles. Now, you kind of knew that was going to happen considering Pillman wasn't there. Because technically, I'm surprised WCW didn't just vacate the belts. Because they're known for that. Because, I mean, seriously. You get a hangnail. Oh, you can't be there? Oh, we'll have a tournament. You're vacated.
I think it doesn't really get bad till later on. I think later on is when they started with all the vacating. I think at this point they didn't really do that much. I don't think.
No, I think they were like just trying to get the matches in.
Yeah.
Because the lack of the roster wasn't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like 4 years from now or from that point. So while Pillman was out, Austin joined Colonel Rob Parker. Or Tennessee Lee, if you remember him in WWE with your boy, Jarrett.
Oh, Jesus.
He joined the Stud Stable. I didn't like this. I thought this was a step back for Austin, especially where at the caliber that he was at with the Dangerous Alliance and then the tag team, and now you're putting him with Rob Parker, who's got a bunch of inbred hillbillies, literally. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. So when Pillman returned, Austin actually turned on him and beat him down at Clash of the Champions 25 in November of 93. And this, I didn't like this because at this point now, you've gotten rid of one of your hottest tag teams because the Steiners aren't there. Harlem Heat is just coming up. The Hollywood Blondes is literally your tag team, and you just got rid of them. This sounds like a Vince McMahon now thing. Like, I got this hot tag team. Let me split them up.
Yeah, they weren't happy about that. They weren't
No,
happy.
when Austin found out he was going back to singles competition, he was like, "But wait a minute, I got this thing going with Brian.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you put us together, you forced it on me. I liked it, and now you're taking it away from me. Like, what's going on here?" And I actually liked it. I mean, I don't know. I was a Hollywood Blonde fan when I was watching the
I
very
like
little that
them.
I watched WCW. So now on December 27th, 1993, at Starrcade, Austin defeated Dustin Rhodes in a 2 out of 3 falls match, one of those again, to win the United States title. So there's that number one contendership belt that meant
It doesn't mean anything.
dots at this point. Because again, it was only in the late 80s that Lex Luger was the WCW United States champion, that he constantly got the title shot against Flair. Pretty much, they still said, oh, if you have the U.S. title, you are the number one contender, but they never showed it at this point. Even with Rhodes. I touched on that earlier. So going into 1994 now, as the U.S. champion, he successfully defended the U.S. title against the Great Muta, Johnny B. Bad, Ricky Steamboat. I mean, he took on all comers, and especially that Great Muta match was really good. I did enjoy that one. And Great Muta was a huge talent. I'm surprised he never landed in WWE at all either. So, but this is where his decline really started. And on August 24th, 1994, he lost the title to Ricky Steamboat and was to face Steamboat in a rematch at Fall Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
But Steamboat had a legitimate back injury. Austin was awarded the title by forfeit for his second title reign. That reign ended in 5 minutes against a guy that, to me, was a great wrestler and a great worker, but to me should have never ever had a singles title on him. And that was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And the fact that you had Duggan beat him in 5 minutes is a slap in the face to Austin.
It's just WCW, man.
I know, but we could say that to every stupid thing they've done. And when we do the Rise and Fall WCW episode in the coming future, there's going to be a lot of stupid things that they have done more than they've done that's beneficial to the company. This obviously is one of those stupid moves where Austin, who was one of your dominant United States champions, and you have him lose in under 5 minutes to Duggan.
It's just, I guess, well, Duggan is patriotic, so it only makes sense that he would be the U.S. champion. I don't know.
Yeah, but at least
I don't know what their thinking was.
Bout.
Yeah, I know.
You know, give it a credible bout. I don't understand. And then he later lost to Duggan in a match that lasted 35 seconds. Actually, that was that match. I'm sorry. It was 35. It was literally 35 seconds. Again, yeah. He was unsuccessful at regaining the title against Duggan at Halloween Havoc and again at Clash of the Champions 29. So now, obviously, you're not putting the U.S. title back on him. So what are you going to do with him? I mean, you're not giving him the title match. At this point in '94, who's there? Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
Hogan never thought highly of Austin anyway. So Austin is obviously not going to get a title shot against Hulk Hogan. He certainly wasn't getting it against Ric Flair. So going into 1995 now, after returning from a knee injury in early '95, he took part in a tournament for the vacated U.S. title. You know, one of those vacated spots by WCW.
Yeah.
He beat Duggan by countout in the first round. And I remember this next match because it was on WCW Saturday Night. He lost to Randy Savage in the quarterfinals. And it was actually a good match. And I thought that this was a possibility of a comeback for Austin, especially when he got in the ring against Savage. Unfortunately, though, in June of 1995, after suffering a triceps injury while wrestling a Japanese tour for Eric Bischoff, who asked him to go ahead and do it, Bischoff fired Austin.
How did he fire him?
Why did he fire him?
How did he fire him? How did he fire him?
By the famous FedEx.
Yep.
But who was in Bischoff's ear in 1995 to fire Steve Austin?
Hulk Hogan.
Exactly. Yep. Because they both said, and I quote, Bischoff and Hogan had a part of this too. They stated that they did not see Austin as a marketable wrestler and thought Austin was hard to work with. Okay,
That doesn't work for me, brother.
everybody is hard to work with. Everybody's got their own ego, especially if they've been on top of the mountain at one time or another. You put egos aside and do what's best for business. A lot of these guys have a hard time doing that. Hogan was especially that. He did that to Rude a year prior. Oh, he comes in, I don't want 2 titles. I want 1 title. All right, well, I want Ric Flair to be the champion. I don't want Rude being the champion. So Rude loses the international title this thing. Sting and Flair fight for the whatchamacallit. Can't think of the word. Unification.
Yeah, it was a unification title.
And Ric Flair's the WCW champion, and Hogan beats him for it. Hogan had a lot of influence in that company that I think did not benefit the company. And that was one of them. This was the other. Firing Austin because, and they also said, you wear black tights and black trunks and black boots. There's not much we can market with that. Oh, really? I beg to differ. Because in part 2, I'm going to tell you a whole reason why that was marketable, brother.
Yep. It's just amazing how, like, when you think about WCW had Stone Cold Steve Austin, they had The Undertaker,
Yes.
they had Kevin Nash, who became Diesel,
Razor Ramon,
had Razor
Diamond
Stud.
They had Sid Vicious.
They had, but Sid became a star there. I'm talking about the guys that were not. They had them before they were stars, and they went.
Sid.
He was a star in WCW. He was a star. He was
not as big, I wouldn't say. I don't know. He wasn't there that long to really establish
but
himself.
He was.
Most of them weren't.
Yeah, but I'm saying like
But the roster you had years later,
I get it. They had all those guys. So
and they said not one of them was more. They said that Vinny Vegas and the Diamond Stud were not marketable either. Oh, it's funny how 4 years later you're begging them to show up when Vince made them marketable.
Yeah, but Austin never forgot. He never forgot. We're gonna get into it in the upcoming episodes. He never forgot about the FedEx thing, and he never forgot about Hogan
and Bischoff
putting his thumb on him. He never forgot about that.
And in the second episode, I'll start with his going to ECW, Paul Heyman calling him, and his vignettes that got him on the radar with Vince McMahon and Jim Ross and Kevin Nash supposedly getting in Vince's ear to hire him. But his best moments in 1995 was in ECW, and I'll cover that in the second part of the Austin series, as we covered 95 through, I believe it's 97. But yeah, Hogan he's not marketable. Okay. That's like the Atlanta Falcons drafting Brett Favre and saying, nah, this guy's not going to be anything. We're going to trade him.
I don't think this guy's any good.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
All right, man. So you guys let us know what you think about this WCW run of Austin, and make sure to tune into the next episodes where we cover, it's going to be a 3-part series. So there's only part 1. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.